Thanks to Dugtrio Gaming's video about the Russian Pokedex, we learned about how certain Pokemon designs were depicted in Russia, but there's still things left undiscovered. For example, how would they look if the designs were in the actual games? Well, in today's video, I'll be showing exactly that by remaking them in the sprite style, just like Dugtrio. As you can see, I used the artworks as the base templates for the designs in the spriting program, since making it harder on myself by trying to recreate them from memory would be just a waste of time. But to counteract any claims of it just being a trace or one-to-one copy, after getting the outline down, I add my touch to the design and also brighten up the moody color palette a bit, while still trying to balance out between the charming regular Pokemon colors and the unique style color-wise for the Russian takes on the starting generation. I also dabbled in using layers as help for getting the animation done quicker, while also giving it a higher quality outcome, although I usually don't pick layering as my go-to animating choice due to the setup taking a while and each frame taking much longer to make if you don't take the lazy path and just move them around for a bit. I'm willing to bet they are probably pretty fun at parties. And here's a better look at Dugtrio Russian edition. Of course, comparison to the actual art, and take a look next to the actual sprite we got in the end. But let's quickly move on to the next one. So, who's acting like these Oddish when seeing their favorite Pokemon depicted like babies? Of course, if there's such a thing as Oddish fans. Actually, I'll keep my mouth shut, since I'm the one whose favorite is a ladybug that usually falls off the team faster than you can say its name fast 5 times in a row. Oh, there goes another one. Anyways, back to the only weeds you can tolerate except the ones you smoke, Oddish. Now, these fellas presented a new challenge that I did not expect to have such a big problem with, consistently coming back to the color palette and altering it a little bit all of the time, since the colors used in the artworks and the usual colors you come across in the sprites did not mix well at all for most of these guys. Either they were too dry, saturated, or didn't blend well at all. Of course, I still ended up with finishing all of the sprites, but for the first time I actually have a good excuse for the colors possibly being not to some people's liking. Okay, in sprite form they somehow are the cutest thing ever. And now we got the cutest interpretation ever of Oddish, which of course is the Russian edition. And speaking of Russian, here's the artwork, and comparing to the sprite it doesn't match up at all. Now, next up, Venomoth. Except the last big boy that'll be showcased in this video, Venomoth was a real pain in the buttocks to put together, especially taking into account the already longer amount of time it took to remake the designs and figure out how to translate these drawings the best way possible into the sprites we know and love, while of course also counting in the artistic liberties I took, etc. Okay, enough whining. What was making me slowly go insane, putting the realistic, creepy yet somewhat cool take on Venomoth aside, the body composition was an absolute nightmare. Although it looks simple enough, the amount of layers I needed to create and manage through each single frame was pretty rough. Like, look at the horn closest to the screen, it's covering the wing. Okay, easy enough, just create a layer so it goes behind that. Oh, now the starting point is obscured by the wing and the body. No worries, I'll make those into separate layers as well, but then the back thingy obscures it. You get the idea. Tough time figuring out if I like this or the regular one more. A bit more frightening take on the casual Venomoth, it's the Russian version of it in sprite form. And comparing to the art, yeah, sure. And the sprites? Still tough time figuring out which I like more, but next up is Pidgeotto. Okay, why did I pick Pidgeotto instead of the usually superior Pidgeot? Well, that's because instead of just enjoying the comfort of resting on a sign, the Lord Pidgeotto himself has a completely different look comparing to the usual passable bird. As for the sprite and the animation, I had a bit of a tough time getting the head to look natural in a smaller resolution due to the many lines and things located on it, but after a while I get the hang of it. Then when getting to the animation, the static aspect of sprites works surprisingly well for this fella if we take into mind its self-absorbed nature, that he can't even take his eyes off himself in the result. But at least I let him blink, otherwise that dude got no purpose. Throw in a cheery mood like movement and some aspects of Snorlax's jiggling to get this as a result. Could you ever imagine being as handsome as this Pidgeotto? And here we got the competitor to being the ultimate life form, Russian Pidgeotto. Now, comparing to the artwork, it's pretty much a spitting image, and sprite-wise, it's Giga Chad vs Virgin, and last up, Charizard. How can we have any sort of Pokemon related content happen if the cliche star of the show, Charizard, doesn't make an appearance? Even though dude has way more spotlight than he knows what to do with it, the depiction of him being an army general is way too intriguing and hilarious to just pass up. Also, the smoking tower in the back kind of looks like the Eiffel Tower, but there are replicas of it in Russia, so if it's supposed to be that, then it kinda makes sense. Now, time for the spriting process. I instantly knew that the head would be way too small if I would just straight up remake the downsized version of the art, so I started with fixing the head size. Then after finishing the rest of the prototype, I make the flame on the tail in the style of regular Charizards, simplify the outfit, find a good balance between the colors, take a time to figure out the shading while also having some issues with the pose. But by the start of animating it, I get it fixed. As for the animation, it on its own took about an hour and a half of just doing the smallest changes and adjustments. But of course I decided to use layering, which probably caused it to take so long when looking back at it. To not take the whole day, I create a simple and small, yet energetic loop with some variations in the movement after a bit, to in result get a pretty good replica of the design in animated sprite form. Well, at least we got a bit more lore about Pokemon War. And the final finisher is this Lieutenant Russian Charizard. What a title, sure, but as for the artwork, even better. And comparing the sprites, I mean, to each their own, still pretty cool, both of them. In the end, when seeing how would they look in sprite form and how they match up compared to the actual sprites, I say some of them do turn out more unique and cooler, but for the most part the official ones end up being better, at least in my opinion. But anyways, stay tuned for more, thanks for watching.